Welcome back to Media7. The awful position of some Christchurch homeowners in the wake of the earthquakes has justifiably made headlines. But another group has been facing the loss of homes and hundreds of thousands of dollars for years. They are the owners of leaky homes, and their story was told this week in the TV1 documentary A Rotten Shame.
Most houses built in the last 20 years are at risk of being leakers.
Crack down that corner of the cladding.
Shockingly, leaky homes are still being built. 89,000 homes throughout New Zealand are suspected of being leaky homes, and the estimated repair bill is in excess of $23 billion. And it's not just homes, it's public buildings, schools, hospitals and other public amenities and commercial buildings. And now we're just faced with the blame and finger pointing. This is Phil O'Sullivan, the guy who first blew the whistle on leaky homes in the late 90s. Phil says the introduction of untreated timber was pushed hard by one company.
Carter Holt saw the opportunity, managed through a great deal of determination and influence, and using the weakness in the standards process to get the standard changed so that a small amount of untreated timber could be used, which, once they got it through, it flooded the market.
What was their motivation?
Money, basically.
Morning, Prime Minister.
How you going?
John Gray.
Oh yeah, how's things?
Good.
Yeah.
Can you spare me a few minutes to talk leaky homes?
Yeah, sure, fire up.
My view is we're at a point where so many New Zealanders are affected, and so badly affected, that we need to give them some support. Look, in the end, there's always going to have to be a balance here, and for anyone, whether they're on a benefit or otherwise, the package allows them to have guaranteed access to funds to repair their homes.
Is it realistic to expect someone on a benefit to be able to pay off a loan?
Well, look, over time, we also want to get people off benefits. I mean, our aim is to try, and that's one of the reasons why the government's so focused on economic growth. Okay, thanks very much. See you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
I'm joined now by Rotten Shame's director, John Hagan, and for want of a better word, its star, John Gray. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Good evening.
John Hagan, I'm sure this was a sensitive topic to document. How long did you spend with lawyers before getting to air?
Well, we had a lawyer on board from the beginning because, as you say, we knew it was going to be like that. We created a program that we thought was hard-hitting, edgy, named names, just presented the issue as it was, and then it went to TVNZ and spent the best part of 6 months going through the legal system. I kind of knew it would, though.
Did much have to come out?
Yeah, quite a lot. In fact, there was quite a big structural change because we started off with quite a hard-hitting kind of Michael Moore style piece, and ended up with something that's more of a commentary. So we went back, reshot a commentator interview that John did with someone, an expert, and another expert. He's definitely one in leaky homes that then explained the issues that we were bringing up. So in a way, it made it more of a TV1 documentary than a theatre documentary, if you like.
And you also had a production company go belly up just as you were
yeah,
about to
that's
start
right
filming.
at the very beginning. Yeah.
Did you feel that at any point that you wouldn't get to air?
Oh, totally. Right at when it fell over, when the production company fell over, that was terrible. They took some of the budget with it, so we were short on money to make the program. We lost our executive producer, who kind of went with that company. Rachel Stace, the producer, and I were determined to make this program, as was John Gray. And so we kept lobbying the network, who were, to be fair, keen to have it as well. And yeah, there were many times in that process where I thought this just isn't going to happen. It's too hard. But we did it.
John Gray, as I noted before, you're in the unusual position of being the advocate and being someone who's suffered through this problem, and also fronting the documentary. When was that decision made that you would do that?
Well, it was probably going on 3 years ago, really, when I was first approached by John and Rachel to really scope the nature of the documentary. And at that stage, I wasn't really aware that I was being lined up to present it, that's for sure.
Did you anticipate that it would be used as an excuse for cabinet ministers not to talk to you because they couldn't possibly be interviewed by an advocate?
Well, that's an interesting outcome of the journey that we took in shooting this documentary, and as a layperson in terms of being a non-journalist, it was really disappointing and an insight into why hard-hitting documentaries are just not made, because the journalists have to cope with people just saying, no, I'm not going to talk to you, or I will talk to you on my terms. So you tell me what the questions are to be asked, and you can have you'll be in my office for 20 minutes, and that's it.
And your response was to do some ambushing, and you did actually manage to get the Prime Minister.
Yes, we did, yeah, and stood him up.
And I have to say no thanks to the Parliamentary Press Gallery, who would not let you into the scrum.
No, it wasn't a very fair, well, it wasn't a very level playing field, that's for sure. And what you haven't seen in the documentary is us being kicked off Parliament grounds. And then, of course, the media scrum that really went down and kept us out.
Has Hobans, your group, paid for a private PR company to tout the documentary?
No, the Homeowners and Buyers Association has not, and we're just blown away by the interest in the documentary, and I've got inquiries today from all over the world, which is really, really interesting. What do you hope will come out of the documentary? Well, because I have to say, when I looked at it, I thought that's terrible, and I can't see a resolution. No, it's an enormous problem, and you know the government has, of course, its own problems with what's going on in Canterbury at the moment, and our hearts go out to them, and that's going to be the next problem that I have to deal with as president of the Homeowners and Buyers Association. But certainly, we have to find a solution that's good for the people who are affected, but actually good for New Zealand. This is about the housing future of New Zealanders, and what we've uncovered is just the abject failure of the system. The system is badly broken, and we have leaky and more so defective homes. And I must say that we have to ask ourselves, how much of the problem in Christchurch has been created by the deficiencies in building. And so it's a major problem, and we don't have a silver bullet, but we need to work cooperatively together to help our nation really restore the housing quality. And that is the big challenge for New Zealand and New Zealanders, and sadly I don't have any confidence in any government to actually achieve that. This will require a real shift in New Zealanders' attitudes towards the quality of their own homes. John Hagan, how did you, given that there are thousands of people suffering from this issue, how did you choose the cases to illustrate? Because I understand there are some people who have been virtually suicidal over what's happened to them. Was that a difficult choice of how much of that suffering to show? No, I think that what we did, well, firstly, to answer the first part of your question, we used Hobans' files. So they've got hundreds and hundreds of these cases going through their system in various stages. And so we just kind of matched the stage that we wanted to show with the people, and then made a stab on whether they were going to be good talent or not. In television terms, but we're aiming to make them, make them tell the story for us, which is, that's how you make a documentary, of course. But so that's the first point, that those people were from Hobans. But no, from there, it was really important to let them tell their own story. And so whatever their suffering was, whatever state they were in, we tried to show it, warts and all, and then follow that process. So it's very much investigative in that way. We're following the path. Yeah, and just finally, this is advocacy documentary fronted by an advocate. It's quite an unusual way of doing it. Can you see this happening more often? Oh, I think so. I think it's a really powerful vehicle to explore an issue in this way. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's great. Well, John Hagan and John Gray, thank you for your time. Now, before we go, Sam Mulgrew has a timely source.
It took almost 150 years following Te Tiriti o Waitangi for Te Reo Māori to be recognised as an official language in this country. A 1985 claim to the Waitangi Tribunal made it happen, also creating Te Taura Whiri i Te Reo Māori, whose job, among many things, is to promote Te Reo as a living language, including running this year's 36th Māori Language Week. The theme, perhaps inspired by the World Cup, is Manaakitanga, making visitors welcome in our company and caring for them. Te Reo needed a saviour. Speaking it was punishable in schools in the 1950s, and 30 years ago, just 20% of Māori, mostly the elderly, could speak fluently. Government support began flowing, currently sitting at over $200 million, mostly in the education sector. But in all our living rooms, broadcasting plays a huge role too. At last count, 56% of Māori watched a Te Reo show on the Māori television service in the last month, while 85% listened to a Māori radio station. This week, businesses like Progressive Enterprises are filling shops with te reo signage, or, in the case of Tokaroa Countdown, running bilingual full-time. And, according to the Māori Language Commission, progress is being made. In 2006, more of New Zealand's 620,000 Māori could listen, read and write te reo fluently than in 2001. And amongst those who could, they were using it more, but just 14% were fluent speakers.
Sam Mulgrew there. Thanks again to Don Rood, John Hagan and John Gray. We'll be back with Media 7 at the same time next week. Until then, haere rā me hoki mai anō koe.